My parents said, "Traditions are for parents, you can skip this year." I smiled, packed my bags, and flew to a private island resort. When they saw the beachfront photos, they couldn't stop texting. I am at 32 years old, finally ready to share the most satisfying revenge story of my life. My name is Sandra Martinez, and this happened during Christmas 2024, but the fallout continued for months. Buckle up, because this gets wild. For context, I'm a software engineer who's been financially independent since I was 24. I've worked my ass off to build a successful career, saved aggressively, and invested wisely. I own my condo in downtown Seattle outright, drive a Tesla I paid cash for, and have a healthy six-figure savings account. I started as a junior developer and worked my way up to senior engineer over 8 years. This becomes important later. My parents, Linda and Robert Martinez, live in suburban Ohio, where I grew up. They're not wealthy by any means. Dad works at a manufacturing plant. Mom's a part-time bookkeeper, but they're comfortable. They've always been the type to prioritize appearances over everything else. You know, the kind perfectly manicured lawn, Christmas decorations up before Thanksgiving, and every family gathering orchestrated like a military operation. For the past 8 years since college, I beautifully returned home every Christmas. I take time off work, buy expensive flights during peak season, stay in my childhood bedroom with a twin bed and faded boy band posters, and participate in what my mother calls our sacred family traditions. These traditions mainly consisted of me being voluntold to help with every aspect of Christmas preparation, while my younger brother Jake got to sit around playing video games. Jake is 28 and still lives at home. He works sporadically at various retail jobs, usually getting fired within 6 months for attendance issues or attitude problems. He's never had a serious relationship, contributes maybe $200 a month to household expenses, and treats our parents' house like his personal hotel. But somehow he's the golden child who can do no wrong. Every Christmas, the dynamic was the same. I'd arrive on December 23rd and immediately get handed a list of tasks: grocery or shopping, cleaning the house, wrapping presents, cooking side dishes, setting up decorations, and entertaining our extended family. Meanwhile, Jake would emerge from his cave around 2 p.m., grunt at everyone, eat whatever food was available, and disappear back upstairs. When relatives asked about his job situation, Mom would quickly change the subject or make excuses. The breaking point came last October during what I thought was a routine phone call. Mom called to discuss Christmas plans, and I mentioned I was thinking about maybe staying in Seattle this year. I've been dating someone new, Marcus, a wonderful guy I met at a work conference, and we've been talking about spending the holidays together. "Oh, that's nice, honey, but you know, Christmas is family time," Mom said in that tone she uses when she's trying to sound reasonable, but is actually being completely inflexible. "I know, Mom, but I've come home every single year since college. I thought maybe this once." "Sandra Elizabeth," she interrupted, using my full name like I was 12. "Family traditions are important. Your father and I have always prioritized family, and we expect the same from our children." I took a deep breath. What about Jake? He literally lives there. What traditions is he participating in exactly? There was a pause. Jake helps in his own way by sleeping until noon and eating all the cookies before Christmas Eve. Don't be dramatic. Besides, Jake doesn't have the resources to contribute financially like you do. And there it was, the truth. We'd all been dancing around for years. I wasn't invited home for Christmas because I was a beloved daughter whose presence brought joy to the family. I was invited because I was the designated organizer, chef, cleaner, and ATM. I tried a different approach. "Mom, what if I came for a shorter visit? Maybe just Christmas Day itself?" "Absolutely not. Christmas is December 23rd through the 26th. That's how we've always done it, and that's how we'll continue to do it. I don't understand why you're being so selfish about this." Selfish. The word hung in the air like a bad smell. I'm being selfish for wanting to spend one Christmas with my boyfriend. You're being selfish for putting some man you barely know ahead of your family who has loved you your whole life. Some man I barely know. I'd been with Marcus for 8 months and had mentioned him in every phone call since June. I'd sent pictures, told stories about our dates, and even suggested they might want to meet him sometime. The response had been polite disinterest at best. The conversation continued for another 20 minutes with Mom cycling through guilt, manipulation, and passive-aggressive comments about how disappointed Dad would be. Finally, I said I'd think about it and hung up. That night, I called my brother directly. Jake and I weren't close, but we'd maintained a decent relationship over the years. I thought maybe he could provide some insight or even offer to help more with Christmas preparations. "Dude, just come home," he said, not looking up from whatever game he was playing. I could hear the shooting sounds through the phone. "It's not that big a deal. Easy for you to say. You don't have to do anything." "That's not true. I help." "How?" "How do you help, Jake?" I'm just here, you know. That's what matters. Being there. You mean living in their basement and eating their food? Look, Sandra, I don't know why you're making this so complicated. Just come home, do the Christmas thing, and leave. It's like 4 days. 4 days of my life, every year, spent being treated like hired help while my adult brother contributed nothing. 4 days of expensive flights, unpaid time off, and emotional labor that left me exhausted and resentful. After I hung up with Jake, I sat in my beautiful condo overlooking Elliott Bay and had an epiphany. I was 32 years old. I had a successful career, a healthy bank account, and for the first time in years, a relationship that made me genuinely happy. Why was I still allowing my parents to dictate how I spent my time and money? I called Mom back the next day. "I've decided I'm going to stay in Seattle this Christmas." The explosion was immediate. "You're what?" "I'm staying here. Marcus and I are going to have a quiet Christmas together." "Sandra, you cannot be serious. What will I tell Aunt Patricia? What will I tell the neighbors? They'll think our family is falling apart. Tell them I'm an adult who made a choice about how to spend my own vacation time. This is unacceptable. Your father is going to be devastated. Then put Dad on the phone." There was a shuffle, and Dad's voice came on the line. "Sandra, what's this about Christmas?" I explained my decision again, and Dad was quiet for a moment. "Well, kiddo, I can't say I'm not disappointed, but you're a grown woman. If that's what you want to do, Robert." Mom's voice shrieked in the background. More shuffling. "Your mother wants to talk to you again." Mom came back on and her voice was different. "Cold. Fine. You want to skip Christmas? Go ahead. But don't expect us to pretend like everything is normal when you decide you want to come crawling back. I'm not crawling anywhere, Mom. I'm just spending one Christmas differently." "No, Sandra. You're choosing some man over your family. You're breaking tradition, and if traditions don't matter to you, then maybe you should just skip Christmas altogether." The line went quiet. "Mom, I'm here. I'm just trying to figure out when my daughter became so selfish and ungrateful." That stung, but I held my ground. "I'm not selfish for wanting to make my own choices." "Yes, you are. But fine, have it your way. Traditions are for people who care about family. If you don't care about family, then you can skip this year." She hung up. I stared at my phone for a full minute, processing what had just happened. In my mother's mind, choosing to spend Christmas with my boyfriend instead of coming home to be their unpaid domestic help meant I didn't care about family at all. Over the next few days, the silent treatment began. Dad sent a few texts apologizing for Mom's reaction and saying he hoped I'd change my mind. Jake sent nothing. Mom was radio silent. As the weeks passed, I started to feel something unexpected: relief. For the first time in 8 years, I didn't have to stress about Christmas travel. I didn't have to request specific days off work. I didn't have to budget for expensive flights. I didn't have to mentally prepare for 4 days of being treated like the family servant. Marcus and I made plans for a cozy Christmas at my place. We'd cook together, exchange gifts, watch movies, and just enjoy each other's company. It sounded perfect. But then Mom's words kept echoing in my head. Traditions are for people who care about family. If you don't care about family, then you can skip this year. The more I thought about it, the more those words infuriated me. I did care about family. I'd proven that for 8 consecutive years by sacrificing my time, money, and energy to participate in their precious traditions. But apparently caring about family meant being willing to be taken advantage of indefinitely. And then I had an idea, a wonderfully petty, absolutely perfect idea. If I was going to skip Christmas, why not skip it in style? I opened my laptop and started researching luxury Christmas vacation packages. If my family wanted to paint me as the selfish daughter who chose vacation over family, then maybe I should lean into that narrative completely. After hours of research, I found exactly what I was looking for: Sunset Cove Resort, a 5-star private island resort in the Turks and Caicos. They had a special Christmas package that included oceanfront villa accommodations, private beach access, world-class dining, spa services, and exclusive holiday activities. The cost, $7,500 for 4 days. Now, $8,000 is a lot of money, even for someone in my financial position. But I did the math. Over the past 8 years, I'd spend approximately $12,000 on Christmas trips home when you factored in peak season flights averaging $600 each way. Expensive gifts for extended family totaling $400 to $500 annually. Lost wages from using all my vacation days worth about $800 per year, plus costs for special Christmas outfits, hostess gifts, and other extras. This year, I'd be spending slightly less on myself for once and getting an actual vacation instead of 4 days of unpaid domestic labor. I called Marcus. How do you feel about spending Christmas on a private island? What? I explained my plan. Marcus was initially hesitant about the cost, but when I explained the full situation with my family, he got on board. You know what? Life's too short. Let's do it. I had been planning this trip since late October, booking it in early November to secure the villa. I'd taken the time to research resorts extensively and had put down a deposit weeks earlier. Now I confirmed the final payment and arrangements. But here's where the revenge aspect really kicks in. I didn't tell my family about the trip. In the weeks leading up to Christmas, Dad continued to send the occasional text asking if I'd changed my mind. I'd respond with things like, nope, staying in Seattle or Marcus, and I have plans. Nothing that explicitly lied about my location, but nothing that revealed the truth either. Jake texted me exactly once. Mom's losing her one about Christmas. You sure you don't want to just come home? I responded, I'm sure. Hope you guys have a good time. Mom maintained complete radio silence. December 23rd arrived, and Marcus and I took an early morning flight to Miami, then a connecting flight to Providence. The resort's private shuttle took us to the property, and the island was absolutely breathtaking. Pristine white sand beaches, crystal clear turquoise water, and luxury accommodations that made my Seattle condo look like a college dorm room. Our villa was situated directly on the beach with floor-to-ceiling windows, a private infinity pool, and a deck that extended out over the water. The staff was incredibly attentive. The food was restaurant quality, and every detail was perfect. But the best part? The photos. I'm not normally someone who posts a lot on social media, but this trip called for an exception. I started with a simple photo of my feet in the sand with the ocean in the background, captioned, Merry Christmas from Paradise, Desert Island emoji, Christmas vacation, private island, blessed life. The response was immediate. Friends from work, college buddies, extended family members, and acquaintances started liking and commenting. OMG, Sandra, this looks amazing. Living your best life. Can I be you when I grow up? Then I posted a photo of Marcus and me at dinner on the beach with twinkling lights strung between palm trees and the sunset painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Christmas Eve dinner with my favorite person in the most beautiful place on earth. Partojin had romance. Had I beached Christmas Eve. More likes, more comments, more shares. Christmas morning. I posted a photo of our villa's infinity pool with the ocean stretching to the horizon. 2 coffee cups sitting on the edge. Christmas morning views. No alarm clocks. No stress. Just peace and gratitude. Hashtag Christmas morning. Hashtag villa life. Hashtag paradise. That's when my phone started buzzing. The first text came from my aunt, Patricia Sandra. I saw your photos on Facebook. What an incredible trip. Are you in the Bahamas? I responded. Turks and Caicos private island resort. It's been absolutely magical. 20 minutes later. Honey, your mother just called me asking about your photos. She seemed surprised. I thought you were staying home in Seattle. Ah, so it begins, I responded. Change of plans. Decided to treat myself to a real vacation this year. Within an hour, I had texts from 3 different relatives, 2 family friends, and my college roommate, all asking about my amazing Christmas vacation. Word was spreading fast through the family network. Then my phone rang. Dad. Sandra. Hi, honey. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Dad. How's everything going there? Good. Good. Listen, your Aunt Patricia mentioned she saw some photos of you on a beach somewhere. I thought you said you were staying in Seattle. Here we go. I'm staying in Seattle, Dad. I'm just not staying in Seattle for Christmas. What does that mean? It means I decided to take a vacation. I'm spending Christmas in Turks and Caicos with Marcus. Silence. A private island. Yep. It's absolutely gorgeous here. The weather is perfect, the food is incredible, and I'm having the most relaxing Christmas of my entire adult life. More silence. Sandra, how much did this cost? Less than I usually spend on Christmas trips to Ohio over multiple years. I heard him exhale slowly. Your mother is. She's pretty upset about the photos. Why would she be upset? She told me traditions are for people who care about family, and if I don't care about family, I should skip Christmas altogether. So I did. She didn't mean. Dad, she literally told me to skip Christmas, so I'm skipping it. Just somewhere nicer than my living room. Another pause. She wants to talk to you. I'm sure she does, but I'm on vacation and I don't really want to spend my Christmas getting yelled at. Can we talk when I get back? When do you get back? The 26th. Okay, we'll talk then. After I hung up and immediately connected to the resort's Wi-Fi, my phone started buzzing with notifications I'd missed while talking to Dad. Marcus looked at me with raised eyebrows. That sounded intense. Just wait. It's going to get worse. I was right. Over the next few hours, my phone exploded. Texts from relatives asking about the trip, comments on my social media posts, and 3 more calls from Dad that I didn't answer. But the real fireworks started that evening. Given the 1-hour time difference between Turks and Caicos and Ohio, my relatives back home were seeing my posts during their afternoon and evening hours, which explained the quick responses. Within 30 minutes, my phone was ringing. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called back immediately. Voicemail again. 3rd call. I answered. Sandra Elizabeth Martinez. What the hell is going on? Merry Christmas to you too, Mom. Don't you dare. Don't you dare act casual with me. I just saw your photos. You're on some beach somewhere while your family is worried sick about you. Why would you be worried? I told Dad I was fine multiple times. You said you were staying in Seattle. I said I wasn't coming home for Christmas. I never said anything about staying in Seattle. You lied to us. I absolutely did not lie. You asked if I was coming home for Christmas. I said no. You asked if I was staying with Marcus. I said yes. I never once said I was staying in my apartment. I could hear her breathing heavily. Where are you? I'm on vacation. Where? A private island resort in Turks and Caicos. How much did that cost? Less than I usually spend supporting your Christmas traditions. Supporting? You've never supported anything. We're the ones who... Mom, I interrupted. I need to go. Marcus and I have dinner reservations, and I don't want to be late. Sandra, don't you hang up on me. We are not finished with this conversation. Actually, we are. I'm on vacation. It's Christmas, and I'm not going to spend it being yelled at. We can talk when I get home. I hung up and switched my phone to Do Not Disturb mode, though I kept the Wi-Fi connected to check messages later. Marcus was staring at me with a mixture of admiration and concern. Your mom sounds intense. She's losing her mind because I called her bluff and she didn't expect it. What do you mean? I explained the whole traditions are for people who care about family conversation and how Mom had essentially told me to skip Christmas if I didn't want to participate in their way. So you skipped it, Marcus said. I skipped it in the most spectacular way possible. That night, we had the most incredible Christmas dinner of my life. Fresh seafood, perfectly prepared vegetables, wines I'd never heard of but cost more per bottle than I usually spend on groceries in a month. We sat on the beach under the stars, listened to the waves, and talked about everything and nothing. For the first time in years, Christmas felt peaceful instead of stressful. The next morning, I turned off Do Not Disturb mode to find 47 text messages, 12 missed calls, and 23 Facebook notifications. The messages ranged from concerned relatives asking if I was okay to friends saying how jealous they were of my trip to Jake, finally breaking his silence with, "Dude, what the bone mom is having a complete breakdown." I scrolled through all the messages and responded only to the people who seemed genuinely concerned about my well-being, not the ones who were clearly just fishing for drama details. But the best messages were from some unexpected sources. My cousin Jennifer, who I barely talked to in years, wrote, "Sandra, I don't know the whole story, but good for you for doing something amazing for yourself. That resort looks incredible, and you deserve every bit of happiness." My former colleague Amanda commented on the beach photo, "This looks like the most relaxing Christmas ever. I'm so tired of obligatory family stress. You're inspiring me to prioritize my own happiness more." Even my dad's sister, Aunt Carol, who usually stayed out of family drama, sent a private message. "Your photos are beautiful, honey. I'm glad you found somewhere peaceful to spend the holiday. Family is important, but so is taking care of yourself." The most surprising message came from my elderly grandmother, Nana Rose, who I thought barely knew how to use her phone. "Sweetheart, that beach looks lovely. I'm proud of you for making your own choices. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for living your life." But mixed in with the supportive messages were the guilt trips. Several relatives mentioned how disappointed and worried Mom was. Jake sent increasingly frantic texts about Mom crying and Dad being stressed. Even some family friends felt compelled to share their opinions about how I was hurting my parents. The thing is, I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was just finally prioritizing my own happiness over everyone else's expectations. On our last night at the resort, I posted one final photo, Marcus and me on the deck of our villa with the infinity pool glowing in the background and the ocean stretching endlessly beyond. We both looked tan, relaxed, and genuinely happy. The caption was simple. "Last night in paradise, this has been the most peaceful, joyful Christmas I've had in years. Sometimes the best traditions are the ones you create yourself." Grateful. #paradise. #new chapter. The responses to that post were overwhelmingly positive. Friends, colleagues, and even distant relatives commented about how happy I looked, how beautiful the location was, and how inspired they were by my courage to do something different. But I also noticed that none of my immediate family liked or commented on any of my posts. The silence from Mom, Dad, and Jake was deafening. We flew home on December 26th, and I immediately felt the difference. Instead of being exhausted and emotionally drained from 4 days of family drama, I was refreshed, energized, and genuinely happy. Marcus and I had grown closer during the trip, and I felt more confident about our relationship than ever. The reckoning came on December 27th. Dad called first. "Sandra, we need to talk." "Okay." "How was your Christmas?" "It was difficult. Your mother has been very upset. I'm sorry to hear that." Are you really sorry?" The question caught me off guard. Of course I'm sorry that Mom is upset. I never wanted to hurt anyone. But you're not sorry about the trip. No, Dad, I'm not sorry about the trip. I had a wonderful time. Do you have any idea how much you've hurt your mother? I took a deep breath. Dad, can I ask you something? What? In the 8 years since I graduated college, how many times have I come home for Christmas? Every year. And how much do you think I contributed to those Christmases? Not just financially, but in terms of time, energy, and work. He was quiet. I've spent thousands of dollars on flights during the most expensive travel time of the year. I've used up all my vacation days. I've done the majority of the cooking, cleaning, and organizing while Jake sits in his room playing video games. I've brought expensive gifts for everyone while Jake gives out gift cards he bought at the grocery store on December 23rd. I've been the daughter who shows up, helps out, and makes Christmas happen. Sandra. And this year, when I asked to do something different for once, Mom told me that traditions are for people who care about family. She told me to skip Christmas if I didn't want to participate. So I did exactly what she said. She didn't mean for you to go to some expensive resort. What did she mean, Dad? What exactly did she expect me to do when she told me to skip Christmas? Silence. Did she expect me to sit in my apartment alone, feeling guilty and sad until I called and begged to come home? Was that the plan? I think I think she expected you to realize how important family is and change your mind. But I do realize how important family is. That's exactly why I'm so hurt that my family only seems to value me for what I can do for them, not for who I am." Dad sighed deeply. "Your mother wants to talk to you. I'm sure she does. Will you call her?" "Eventually, but not today. I need some time to process everything. She's really upset, Sandra. She's been crying for days." And there it was. The guilt trip I'd been expecting. "Dad, I love you and Mom. I really do. But I'm 32 years old, and I can't keep making decisions based on whether they'll make Mom cry. I need to make decisions based on what's right for my life." Mom called that evening. Sandra. Her voice was cold, controlled anger, somehow worse than yelling. "Hi, Mom. I hope you're happy." "I am, actually. I had a really nice Christmas. A nice Christmas while your family was worried sick about you." "Mom, you knew I was safe. Dad knew I was with Marcus. I posted photos showing I was fine. Nobody needed to worry. We didn't know where you were. You didn't ask where I was. You assumed I was sitting in my apartment and I didn't correct that assumption. That's lying." "No, that's letting you make assumptions. If you'd asked directly where I was going to be, I would have told you. Would you have? Would you really have told us you were gallivanting around some beach while we were having Christmas dinner without you? Gallivanting? I was on vacation with my boyfriend. A vacation that costs more than your father makes in a month. A vacation that costs less than I've spent on Christmas trips home over the past 8 years. Those trips were to see family. And this trip was to take care of myself for once." The conversation went in circles for 20 more minutes, Mom cycling through anger, guilt, disappointment, and martyrdom. Me trying to remain calm and reasonable while she painted me as the selfish, ungrateful daughter who had betrayed her family for a beach vacation. Finally, she delivered her ultimatum. "If you think you can just waltz back into this family after humiliating us like this, you're wrong. Everyone saw those photos. Everyone knows you lied to us and chose some vacation over your family. I don't know when you became this person, but it's not the daughter I raised. Mom, I didn't lie to anyone and I didn't choose vacation over family. I chose my own happiness over being taken for granted. Same thing. No, it's not. Yes, it is. And until you're ready to apologize for what you've done and promise that nothing like this will ever happen again, don't bother coming home." She hung up. I sat in my condo looking out at the Seattle skyline and realized I felt relieved. Not happy that my relationship with my mother was damaged, but relieved that the pretending was over. For years, I'd been pretending that our Christmas tradition was about family love and togetherness, when really it was about me providing free labor and financial support while being treated as less important than my unemployed brother. The aftermath continued for weeks. Various family members called to check on me, but really to get the gossip and share their opinions. Some sided with my parents, expressing disappointment that I'd hurt them. Others quietly supported my decision, sharing their own stories of family obligations that had become burdensome. Jake finally called in mid-January. "So, Mom's still losing her bet," he said without preamble. "I heard she keeps talking about how embarrassed she is and how everyone in the family is talking about what you did." "What did I do, Jake?" You went to some fancy resort instead of coming home. I went on vacation instead of spending my Christmas being the unpaid help while you played video games. I don't just play video games. What else do you do? What do you contribute to Christmas?" Silence. "Jake, I'm genuinely asking, what do you do to help with Christmas? I'm there. I participate." "How do you participate?" "I eat dinner with everyone. I open presents. I talk to relatives." "Do you cook anything?" "No." "But do you clean anything?" "Mom doesn't ask me to." "Do you buy groceries, wrap presents, decorate, plan anything?" "Sandra, you're good at that stuff." "I'm not. I'm good at it because I do it. You're not good at it because you don't try. Look, I don't know why you're making this about me. You're the one who went to some island and posted photos to make Mom look bad. I posted photos of my vacation. How does that make Mom look bad? Because everyone knows you were supposed to be home." "According to who?" "Mom told me to skip Christmas, so I skipped it." She didn't mean literally skip it. Then what did she mean? Jake couldn't answer that question either. The most interesting development came in February, when I got a call from my cousin Jennifer, Patricia's daughter. She wanted to meet for coffee when she was in Seattle for work. Over lattes, Jennifer shared something that surprised me. Sandra, I need to tell you something. Your Christmas photos inspired me to make a change in my own life. Really? Yeah. I've been dreading Easter at my mom's house because it's the same thing. I end up doing all the work while my brothers sit around drinking beer and watching sports. After seeing how happy you looked on that beach, I decided to book a trip to Europe instead. Wow, how did your mom react? She was pissed at first, but then I explained that I've been feeling taken for granted, and we had a really good conversation about expectations and fairness. My brothers are actually going to help this year because I won't be there to do everything. Jennifer leaned forward. I think what you did scared some people because it made them realize they can't take the women in the family for granted anymore. That conversation stuck with me. Maybe my selfish decision to prioritize my own happiness had given other people permission to do the same. Spring brought more fallout. Mom missed my birthday in March, the first time that had ever happened. When I called to thank her for the card she didn't send, Dad answered, "She's still hurt." Sandra, I know, Dad. I'm hurt too. What do you mean? I mean, I'm hurt that my mother thinks so little of me that she believes I'd lie and manipulate people. I'm hurt that she can't understand why I might want to spend Christmas differently after 8 years of doing it her way. I'm hurt that she seems to think I don't love my family just because I finally stood up for myself. Maybe you could be the bigger person here. Call her and apologize. Apologize for what exactly? For hurting her feelings. Dad, I need to ask you something, and I need an honest answer. Okay. Do you think it's fair that I've done the majority of the work for Christmas every year while Jake contributes almost nothing? Long pause. Sandra, you're better at that stuff. That's not what I asked. I asked if it's fair. Another pause. I guess maybe we've relied on you too much. Do you think it's fair that I spend thousands of dollars and use all my vacation days to come home while Jake gets the same appreciation for just walking downstairs? When you put it like that, do you think it's fair that when I asked to do something different for once, Mom told me traditions are for people who care about family? She was upset. She didn't mean it the way it sounded. Dad, I'm going to say this once, and I need you to really hear me. I love you, Mom, and Jake. I love our family, but I will not continue to accept being treated as less important than my unemployed brother or being valued only for what I can do for other people. I went on vacation for Christmas. I didn't hurt anyone. I didn't lie to anyone, and I didn't do anything wrong. If Mom needs an apology for that, then we have a much bigger problem than one missed Christmas. Dad was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, I'll talk to her. Don't talk to her for me, Dad. I'm not asking you to fix this. I'm just asking you to understand my side. That conversation was 3 months ago. Since then, I've had minimal contact with my parents. Dad sends occasional texts asking how I'm doing. Mom sends nothing. Jake has gone back to radio silence. But here's the interesting part. I'm happier than I've been in years. Marcus and I are still together and stronger than ever. My work life has improved because I'm not constantly stressed about family drama. I've rekindled friendships that I'd let slide because I was always too emotionally exhausted from family obligations. I've taken up hobbies I never had time for before. Most importantly, I've learned to prioritize my own well-being without feeling guilty about it. A few weeks ago, I got a text from Mom. I saw your promotion announcement on Facebook. Congratulations. I'd been promoted to senior software engineer with a substantial salary increase. After 8 years of consistent performance and leadership on major projects, the promotion felt well earned. I posted about it because I was proud of my accomplishment and wanted to share the good news with friends and colleagues. I responded, "Thank you." She wrote back, "Maybe we could talk sometime." I haven't responded yet. Not because I'm trying to punish her, but because I'm still figuring out what I want that conversation to look like. Do I want to rebuild our relationship? Absolutely. But it has to be a relationship built on mutual respect, not one where I'm expected to sacrifice my happiness to avoid Mom's disappointment. The truth is that Christmas trip to the Caribbean was about more than just a fancy vacation. It was about proving to myself that I could choose my own happiness, even when other people tried to make me feel guilty about it. When Mom said traditions are for people who care about family, she was trying to manipulate me into compliance. She was betting that I loved my family too much to actually follow through on doing something different. She was wrong. I do love my family, but I also love myself enough to not accept being treated poorly in the name of tradition. The photos from that trip are still on my Facebook, and I look at them sometimes when I need a reminder of what prioritizing myself looks like. Marcus and I are planning another trip this summer. Nothing as extravagant as a Caribbean resort, but another chance to create our own traditions and memories. Last month, I got an unexpected call from Aunt Patricia. She wanted to let me know that the family dynamics had shifted significantly since my Christmas rebellion, as she called it. Your cousin Jennifer's Easter trip to Europe started a trend, she told me. Your cousin Michael announced he's spending Thanksgiving with his girlfriend's family this year, instead of driving 12 hours to Ohio. Even your Aunt Carol said she might skip the family reunion this summer because she wants to take her grandkids to Disney World instead. How's Mom handling all of this? She's adjusting. I think she's starting to realize that you can't guilt people into spending time with you. It doesn't work long term. Patricia paused, then added, I also think she's realizing how much work you actually did during those Christmas visits. Jake tried to help with Easter dinner, and let's just say it was a disaster. Your dad ended up doing most of the cooking, and your mom had to handle all the cleaning and organizing herself. How did that go? She was exhausted. I heard her tell your dad that she never realized how much you contributed every year. That conversation gave me hope that maybe Mom was gaining some perspective on the situation. 2 weeks later, I got a longer text from her. Sandra, I've been thinking a lot about our fight. Your father and I would like to invite you and Marcus to dinner sometime. No expectations, no agenda, just a chance to talk and maybe start over. I stared at that text for a long time before responding. I'd like that. Let me check with Marcus and get back to you about timing. We ended up meeting at a neutral restaurant, not their house, where the old family dynamics might kick in automatically, but a nice place downtown where we could all be on equal footing. The dinner was awkward at first. Mom looked older than I remembered, more tired. Dad seemed nervous. Marcus was charming but cautious, and I felt like I was meeting my parents as an adult for the first time. I owe you an apology, Mom said about halfway through the meal. Okay. I've been thinking about what you said about being taken for granted, and I think maybe you were right. She looked down at her plate. I always saw you as the responsible one, the one who had everything figured out. It never occurred to me that asking you to handle Christmas every year might feel like a burden instead of an honor. It felt like both. I said, honestly, I was honored to be trusted with important family traditions, but I was also exhausted from being the only one who seemed to care about making them special. Dad spoke up. We talked to Jake after Easter, had a long conversation about expectations and contributions. How did that go? He's looking for his own apartment, Mom said. We decided it was time for him to stand on his own feet. I tried not to look too shocked. Jake had been living at home for over a decade. We also decided that if we want to continue having family gatherings, everyone needs to contribute equally, Dad continued. No more expecting one person to do all the work. Marcus reached over and squeezed my hand under the table. I'm glad to hear that, I said. Mom looked directly at me. I'm sorry I said you didn't care about family. That was unfair and untrue. You've shown how much you care about this family for years. I was scared of change, and I took that fear out on you. I'm sorry, too, I said. I'm sorry I didn't communicate my feelings better over the years. I should have spoken up sooner instead of letting resentment build up. And I'm sorry about the dramatic exit strategy, I added with a small smile. The Caribbean resort was definitely overkill. Mom actually laughed. It was overkill, but I have to admit the photos were beautiful. You look really happy. I was happy. I want you to be happy, Sandra. I want that more than I want you to follow traditions that make you miserable. We talked for another hour about boundaries, expectations, and what healthy family relationships look like. It wasn't a magic conversation that fixed everything, but it was a start. As we were leaving, Mom asked, "So what are you thinking for Christmas this year?" I looked at Marcus, then back at my parents. Actually, Marcus and I were talking about hosting. We'd love to have you guys come to Seattle. You could see my place, meet some of my friends, experience Christmas in the Pacific Northwest. Mom's face lit up. Really, really, but with the understanding that if you come, you're guests. No pressure to cook or clean or organize anything. Just a chance to spend time together. That sounds wonderful, Dad grinned. I've never been to Seattle. This could be fun. What about Jake? I asked. Jake will figure out his own Christmas plans, Mom said firmly. It's time for him to start making his own traditions, too. As I watched my parents walk to their car, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Genuine excitement about spending Christmas with my family. The revenge aspect of my story worked better than I ever imagined, but not in the way I expected. I thought I was just proving a point about being taken for granted. Instead, I accidentally triggered a family-wide reckoning about fairness, expectations, and what it really means to show love and appreciation for each other. My Christmas in Paradise wasn't just about getting back at my parents for their unfair treatment. It was about demonstrating that I valued myself enough to choose happiness over obligation, even when that choice was difficult and misunderstood. The photos that caused such drama weren't really about showing off or making anyone jealous. They were proof that I had finally learned to prioritize my own well-being. And somehow that lesson rippled through my entire extended family, inspiring other people to examine their own relationships and boundaries. Looking back, I don't regret a single moment of that trip. The white sand beaches, the infinity pool, the sunset dinners, the peaceful mornings with Marcus, all of it was exactly what I needed. But more than that, it was a declaration of independence from a family dynamic that had stopped serving anyone well. The best part of this whole saga isn't that I got revenge on my parents or that I proved a point about being underappreciated. The best part is that my family learned to value each other differently. Mom and Dad learned to see me as a person with my own needs and desires, not just the daughter who handles logistics. Jake learned that being part of a family requires actual participation, not just physical presence. And I learned that standing up for myself doesn't mean I love my family any less. This Christmas in Seattle is going to be different from any Christmas we've ever had. There won't be elaborate traditions or exhausting preparation schedules. There won't be unequal expectations or unspoken resentments. There will just be family members who choose to spend time together because they enjoy each other's company, not because obligation demands it. And if that's not worth an $8,000 trip to paradise, I don't know what is. Marcus likes to joke that my Christmas rebellion was the most expensive family therapy session in history. He's probably right, but sometimes you have to make a dramatic gesture to cut through years of dysfunction and miscommunication. My advice to anyone reading this who feels taken for granted by their family, you don't have to book a trip to the Caribbean to make your point. But you do have to be willing to prioritize your own happiness, even when other people try to make you feel guilty about it. Family traditions should bring joy, not resentment. Family gatherings should feel like celebrations, not obligations. And if they don't, it's okay to step back and ask for something different. Sometimes the people who love you need to see you choose yourself before they remember to choose you too. Update: I'm writing this 6 months later, and I'm happy to report that Christmas in Seattle was absolutely perfect. Mom and Dad loved the city, got along great with Marcus, and actually seemed to enjoy being guests instead of hosts. Jake came for one day, flying in from his new apartment in Columbus, contributed to cooking dinner, and was genuinely pleasant company. We started some new traditions that felt meaningful to everyone, and for the first time in years, no one felt stressed or overwhelmed. More importantly, my relationship with my parents has continued to improve. We talk regularly now, and the conversations feel balanced and genuine. Mom has apologized several more times for the traditions are for parents comment, and she's been making an effort to ask about my life, instead of just assuming I'll always be available to help with family logistics. The Caribbean resort photos are still getting likes and comments from family members, but now the responses are, "This looks amazing, you deserve this," instead of, "Why didn't you tell us where you were going?" Sometimes the best revenge is just living your best life and letting other people figure out how to treat you.